The decision to write this story has been a difficult one, as the memories still sting like fresh wounds. It's about betrayal, pain, and an unwavering resolve to reclaim dignity and peace. It all began when I uncovered the truth about my wife's affair. For weeks, I'd noticed something was off. My wife was distant, preoccupied, and uncharacteristically protective of her phone. The changes were subtle, but they nagged at the back of my mind. Then, the unthinkable happened. My brother, my closest confidant, passed away. The loss shattered me, and in my grief, I needed her support more than ever. But instead of comfort, I found coldness, a void where her empathy should have been. One night, unable to suppress the gnawing suspicion, I checked her phone. What I found made my heart drop. Messages full of flirtation and intimacy, exchanged with a coworker. The betrayal hit me like a freight train. My wife, the person I trusted most, was having an affair while I was mourning my brother. My world, already fragile, crumbled further. I confronted her. At first, she denied it, tried to deflect, and even accused me of invading her privacy. But faced with the evidence, she admitted it. Her excuses were pathetic. Stress at work, a need for connection, none of which justified her actions. The pain was unbearable, but the betrayal during my darkest hour was unforgivable. For days later, I filed for divorce. The only reason it took that long was because the courthouse was closed for 2 of those days. I was resolute. There was no turning back. She begged me to reconsider, promising to change, to work on our marriage. But how could I ever trust her again? How could I look at her without seeing the betrayal? The divorce process was brutal, but I was determined to protect myself and our children. I hired a fierce lawyer who left no stone unturned. I ensured there would be no alimony, and we settled on 50-50 custody without child support. My wife had made her bed, and she would now lie in it. What hurt most wasn't just her betrayal, but the ripple effects it had on our lives. I couldn't keep her infidelity a secret. My family, her family, and even our kids eventually learned the truth. The shame and disappointment were palpable. My once loving wife became a pariah, ostracized by those who once cared for her. Her lover, the coworker she risked everything for, abandoned her during the divorce process. Reports reached me of her struggling at work, her performance plummeting. Apparently, her affair had come to the attention of HR, and her lover lost his job as a result. She in turn was demoted at work. With no one to turn to, her life began to unravel. She was no longer the confident, composed woman I once knew. Instead, she was a shadow of her former self, burdened by the consequences of her actions. Despite the chaos, I found solace in my children and the support of my family. They were my anchor, helping me navigate the storm. The journey was far from easy. The pain of betrayal and the loss of my brother weighed heavily on my heart. But I refused to let her actions define my future. I sought therapy, leaned on my loved ones, and slowly began to rebuild. There were moments of anger, moments where I questioned everything. My judgment, my worth, my ability to move on. But with time, those feelings began to fade. I realized that her betrayal said more about her character than it did about me. She had thrown away a family, a loving husband, and a stable life for a fleeting affair. That was her choice, and she would live with the consequences. As for me, I've learned to find strength in adversity. My brother's death taught me the fragility of life, and my wife's betrayal taught me the importance of self-respect and boundaries. While the pain hasn't entirely disappeared, it has transformed into a quiet resolve to cherish the people and values that truly matter. Looking back, I see a story not just of heartbreak, but of resilience. It's a reminder that even in our darkest moments, we can find the strength to stand tall. The scars remain, but they are a testament to battles fought and lessons learned. And as I move forward, I do so with the knowledge that I've done everything in my power to protect myself and my children from further harm. The road ahead is uncertain, but one thing is clear. I'll face it with courage, integrity, and the unwavering belief that brighter days are ahead.